Okay, so I'm Peter Ehrman, and I am doing my final internship here in Olds at the elementary school. And I'm here with Darlene Kusick, and she's an awesome math teacher, and she has a lot of good math knowledge and understanding. And I have a couple questions for her about math calendar. So, number one, Darlene, what is calendar math, and what do you think its purpose in the classroom is?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you, Peter, for that compliment, and I just love what I do, and I've learned lots myself and continue to learn. It's an ongoing process. When you ask me about calendar math, it's actually incredible that you can take calendar and actually cover your whole curriculum through calendar, when you look at the entire primary curriculum. But my focus is, and I do focus on everything, but I think it's about understanding that concept of time. And time comes in seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, decades, years. And the understanding of it connected to their daily lives as well is appointments, special occasions, like birthdays, times with grandma or grandpa or a special babysitter. They have like keeping track of all those things that are events, or even kids who have parents or dads that work away. Their dads are gone for 10 days, home for 5. Are they going to be on a special day? Really trying to connect to real life for them and what is the meaning of them for real life. But when we think about calendar, it's not just about the dates. That's important to know where we are in today is, yesterday was, tomorrow will be, even the past, present, and future, because we assume kids know that, and they don't always know those things that we think they do. And that concept of time, when I think of calendar, how long is a week? How long is a second, a minute, an hour? What can you do in those time frames? So that to me is what all calendar math is about, is understanding, or even the positions of the months of the year, the positions of the days of the week, what comes before, what comes after. Those are things we use in our daily life, sometimes even without thought. And again, we assume kids know them, but they don't necessarily do. So that, to me, is the purpose of that calendar math in the classroom.
Great. I like, the whole understanding of time, and the fact that students of basically any age, any grade, can learn that and use that. That's cool. So, second question, what benefits do you see, because you've used a lot of calendar math in your class, what benefits do you see using it in the classroom?
Well, I see kids understanding of months. Where are they in the position? You know, if it is March and their birthday's in June, well, how long is that? How long are they waiting? Or they have an appointment, or they're waiting for a special occasion for something, or how, it's past. How far away was that in the past? How long ago was that? Or something is coming up in the future. But also, again, it's that daily life, because I just gave my grade 3s a problem not very long ago about that I had to travel for special vitamins. And so I took 2 vitamins a day, and I wanted to know how many vitamins I was going to need in that month before I made that other trip to Calgary again, because I wasn't wanting to be running around, right? So the idea of seeing it, I think the importance of it and how we actually use it, but it's incorporating to showing them the mathematics that we use in our life. Again, without thought. We're constantly using mathematics, and I think that's what a numerate. I just read an amazing book, and a numerate student does. It's that connection to real life, being able to problem solve and use mathematics and connect it to real life. So that, to me, and I see kids being able to do that. I see kids being able to make those connections, or that they're going to be a decade old in a year, or that, those kinds of things. So that's, I think, is important for that calendar math.
That's cool. You mentioned that too, and I remember I watched that lesson with the vitamins during your calendar math one day, and I thought after that too, and now, how many times, even in grade 1, the grade I'm in, how many times the kids come to you and ask, how many days to my birthday? How many days until this? And I've noticed too, doing it in grade 1 calendar math, is that now some of the kids are coming to you and saying, oh, it's this many days or that many days, and you can say, well, how did you figure that out? And they're like, oh, well, we talked about it the other day, or we used that strategy, and that's been good.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Last question. So I've been kind of taking your guidance for calendar math and stuff like that, and using your pointers and your thought process and stuff. If you were to give a couple key points of advice to a teacher just starting calendar math, what would those key points of advice be?
Well, I think just starting, again, you have to change the amount of time you spend on it in a day. You got to switch your emphasis. I think what is important for kids, how I start off, is actually what is the job of a calendar? We talked about that. What is the job of a calendar? What does it do? Why is it important to us? And that's what I spend just a little bit of time doing that. And then I talked about just dates, knowing their past, present, and future. And today as yesterday was, tomorrow will be. And then I get into that problem solving. A week, what will the date be in a week? What was the date a week ago? I have a dentist appointment coming up on the 23rd. What day will that be? How far away is that? Just those kinds of things. And I think it's just changing the amount of time you spend on it, as well as shifting the emphasis on what part of the curriculum that you are trying to put into that calendar month as well. So there's days that I only spend maybe 3 minutes on calendar, and there's other days I'll spend 20 minutes on calendar. And I think it's about changing that up for the kids and just switching that emphasis and putting just a different amount of time. But there's also the pace. The pace of your lesson is really important, because if you're going too slow, or you're just having them work on one problem, which they need to grapple over a problem. And you gave a great problem today about that, which is greater in the number of days, the first half of the year and the second half of the year. And they grappled with it, which I think some struggle is good.
Yeah.
That was productive struggle. But then when do I stop? Right? When do I stop? When do I know it's too much time and I've got to now pull them back and let's work through this. Let's hear some of those strategies and get moving on. Because those kids who are done, you're going to lose them in terms of interest, right?
Yeah.
There were kids who are done. So it's about keeping a pace that you're engaging 85 to 90% of your kids and then moving on. And then you're always knowing, because you're doing this daily. So those would be my key points.
Yeah, and I like that too. Like we talked about, I taught a bit of the calendar lesson today in your class, and we talked about pace. And to that, it's okay to move on because you're repeating it daily. So maybe they're not hearing it today, but tomorrow they will. I think that's an important thing to do. It's not like you're leaving it and never coming back to it. It's a daily repetition of that.
And I think you just, I think that was very wise and insightful, Peter, because that is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And what you're doing as you're walking around, you could have cut your time in half, but you're still understanding where those kids are in their thinking, and that's the key, because the kids learning and the kids thinking is your driving force in your teaching.
Yeah. Cool. No, thank you so much for answering those questions and sharing your words of math wisdom with us.
You're welcome.
Thanks.